This month, our student panel and Dr. Waddell are discussing the fine arts programs from around the district and how they are helping our students be successful in school, as well as preparing them for their future. With us today are Dr. Waddell and several middle school students that are each representing different areas of fine arts. And these students have come up with some of their own questions they would like to discuss with Dr. Waddell. I would like to first introduce to you our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Waddell, and thank you for being here. It's a great pleasure. And I would like to start by asking our student panelists to introduce themselves so you can get to know them better.
Hi, I'm Whitney. I'm from Shadow Ridge Middle School, and I'm in theater arts.
I'm Madison Higgins. I'm from Durham Middle School, and I'm in orchestra.
I'm Kate Fernandez. I go Downing Middle School, and I'm in the band program.
I'm Wilfred Yama, and I'm from Griffin Middle School, and I do choir.
I'm Noah Kahn, I'm from Killian, and I do band.
So Noah, why don't we start with your question that you have for Dr. Waddell.
Dr. Waddell, what role do you think music plays in a student's life?
You know, I've said a lot of times, I'm not sure that you can really say you're well educated unless you, in some way or another, involved in music or the fine arts. So I think that's really one of the strengths of schools, of public schools, that they offer these to students, and along with their studies on their academic programs, they get a chance to perform. It really could be something you do for a lifetime.
No, tell us, what fine art program are you in, and how do you think it impacts your education?
I'm hoping when I get a job after college that people look at my records and they see that I played tenor saxophone all through high school, and they will know that I have lots of responsibility.
Yeah, that's a good point, Noah. It's these days colleges, and I think businesses too, look for people. They want to see students that are well-rounded. They're looking for students who've gotten involved in other activities and have rounded themselves out. So I think you make a great point there.
Will, would you like to ask your question?
Okay, now, our school, Griffin Middle School, puts a lot of emphasis on having technology available for our classes. We use technology in different ways in our choir class. What are your thoughts about the use of technology in teaching fine arts?
You know, the linkage between technology and arts has been, it's always been there. I think they've helped each other. Arts have helped pioneer technology, and technology's helped advance the arts. They're interrelated. There's a lot of music that's created, and really these days movies, aren't they? I mean, I think of Avatar a year or two ago. So you know, that whole thing was about technology. It was done with technology, and its avatars are they're creations that really exist in a virtual world. So you cannot separate the two. They've always been together. And it's really important. I think you know, for music students to record a little bit of what they do and then go back and listen to it, and you know, and improve their performance. In the theater, same thing. You know, we call it taping yourself, but you're not really taping yourself. You're digitizing yourself these days. But it's hard to think of having art without technology. How do you use technology at Griffin?
We've used the iPads one day, and they had a piano app installed, and we messed around with the piano, and we listened to a few songs that were already installed.
Mm-hmm. Did you try that piano app on the iPad?
Yeah. And and our choir teacher also taught us a little more about pianos and where solfege starts and where it ends.
Thank you, Will. That was a great question. So would you like to ask your question?
Yes. Dr. Waddell, I feel that I have a wider variety of friends since joining band. Do you think that this is an important benefit of joining a fine arts program?
I don't think that's something we think about when we think about being in music. When you see a band on the field performing, everybody has to know exactly what they're supposed to do. The quality of the performance is going to depend on everyone. So I think, you know, when you do those kinds of things together, you can't help but form great friendships, and you learn how to work with people. But I'm pretty sure that people that go through that, they keep those friendships for a long time. And I think it's true for the other fine arts fields. You know, if you're in a theater troupe, you're in a choir, you form really tight relationships, and so I think that's really one of the great benefits of being in something like band or choir or theater.
Kate, tell us about the friendships you've made in band, and what have those relationships meant to you?
Well, I've made a lot of friends with people who maybe I would have met if I hadn't been in band, and I think that we all love music, so that kind of like draws us together, and we all like to play music together. So
I really think when it's all said and done, that maybe turn out to be one of the most important things about being in a program like band.
Thank you, Kate. That's a great question. Madison, would you like to share your question with Dr. Waddell?
As a student, were there any fine art programs that you participated in that helped you become as successful as you are now?
I was in elementary until 8th grade. That's how that was set up. Our music program, we didn't have choir and we didn't have band, we had orchestra. So I was in orchestra from 5th grade to 8th grade, and then band in high school. I sang in high school and was in theater. I think the things that we've been talking about, the part about friendships, learning how to work together, learning that it's important to do your part in having in being successful, learning how to get along with people, learning how to respect other people, and sometimes would you all not agree? I mean, in your programs that you're in fine arts, sometimes don't you need to be patient? Yeah. And so I think in terms of what I do, what I learned, I think that they're valuable lessons in life, and it's not just about the music or the play. It's more than that. It's all those things to learn how to do your part, have high standards, get along with people, be respectful. All those things are important being successful in life. What about the patience thing? When I said that, you got to learn patience, and all of you started laughing. Why did you laugh when I said that about you have to learn patience? Have you found yourself, did you have to learn patience, or did someone have to learn patience with you? What was it?
Both ways.
Both ways?
In the beginning, when they're teaching you, they have to be patient, but when you get more into it and you know more complicated stuff, you have to be patient with like scales and everything. Yeah. Yeah, you have to be really patient.
And whenever you get frustrated when someone doesn't know their line, and like if they mess up a play, it's hard not to get frustrated at them later. Right. I remember one time I got so nervous because I was in front of all of my friends. I forgot my line. And thankfully, one of my other what's the word? Classmates, they were able to cover for me, and so it didn't look like I messed up at all. But
hey, that's teamwork, isn't it?
Yeah, so it was really hard for like me to have patience with yourself and with others too.
That's a good point. Patience with yourself, yeah. I don't think there's very many people who have acted who haven't forgotten their line once upon a time. So.
How has orchestra helped you be a better student?
Well, it's like you said, with college and everything, they look at a person to be well-rounded, and orchestra is like a great for like resumes and stuff. But they also help you with like math and science and all that, and it really does help you learn like a new language kind of.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Yeah, it is a new language, really, isn't it? Mozart, very well-known composer, one of the greatest composers ever lived, was a brilliant mathematician. Another composer, Johann Sebastian Bach, who you probably heard of, maybe performed some of his music, was also a musician, and he did something for the piano. It's called the well-tuned clavichord. He tuned it in a way. It was not a precise tuning that made the piano sound good, because you go from octave to octave across the keyboard, and if you didn't tune this thing right, it would not sound right. There's actually a relationship between that and geometry and the Pythagorean theorem, and I don't know if you've studied that yet, but the reason oh, you have?
Yeah.
I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
I'm loving to hear all of this.
Algebra's fun. It's a puzzle.
Way to go! I tell you what, there's a lot of teachers out there right now going yes, but there's the same numerical difference in that that tuning of the keyboard, that monochord, as there is in that Pythagorean gap mathematically. So you're right. I mean, that's really interesting, that relationship between those two.
Well, thank you, Madison. Those are great points. Whitney, would you like to ask your question?
I know that you said that you were involved in theater before, but what exactly did you do?
It was really my English class. We didn't have, I went from a big high school to a little high school. And they didn't have a theater class, but the English teacher did one-act play. And it was like UIL here. And I really enjoyed acting. I enjoyed those plays and performing with my classmates. And through choir, my involvement in that and this, we did some musicals in school. And I really enjoyed it a lot, you know, combining my singing with the acting part. I think what students today are doing and what their teachers are getting them to do, and in all the fine arts, choir, the kinds of performances that our choirs are putting on, that our bands do, it's unreal. And you young people show us every time you perform how brilliant you really are. I think that's just maybe one of the most amazing things about it. You know, maybe when you go on in your life, you may choose an artistic career, and that would be great if you could do that. But if you don't, and you choose another vocation and do something else in your life, you'll remember that you were a part of something that was extremely beautiful. You'll remember those relationships with your classmates, the opportunities you got to perform in front of audiences. You'll remember that for the rest of your life. And I'm as a superintendent, I'm so proud that we're able to give you that chance to do it. I think it's just one of the great strengths of public schools. So my hat's off to you for doing what you do, and keep at it as you move from middle school to high school. Stay with it. Stay in choir. Stay in the band. Maybe I'll see you down at the Alamo Dome, and I'll walk in with you. You can remind me of this interview, and I'll get to come watch you in musicals at your high school.
Whitney, why don't you share with us how what the Shadow Ridge Middle School Theater Arts program has meant to you as a student?
Well, I've always been an outgoing student. I've always been the first one to raise my hand in class, the first one to want to share all my stuff. And whenever I got into theater, it was like I finally had an outlet for that, because I used to be the kid that was always talking in class because I always wanted to share my ideas. And so in theater, I got an outlet for that, and I was able to finally kind of express what I wanted, like being able to change into different characters, and like that moment right before a play whenever you're about to go on and you like everything about you slips away and you slip into that new character. It's like amazing, and to be able to experience that is outstanding. And I'm just glad that I was able to go to an amazing school where I'm able to have all that, and to be able to be in plays, and to be able to have the resources to put on a great play. And it's just really fun being in theater.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And again, I want to thank each of you for coming today and asking your questions. And we look forward to seeing you on the stage as you progress into high school. And so again, thank you, and we will see you next month.